Welcome back to Kids Planning. I'm Allison, this is Daniel, and today we are giving our review of the prototype of Fall of the Mountain King.
This game is from Burnt Island Games. It's on Kickstarter now. We will leave links to the Kickstarter below so you can go check it out. Yeah.
We are giving the review of the multiplayer. Jared also is doing his review of the solo version of this game.
Yep.
And we'll leave a link to that below. And he's also going to join us for his idea and his thoughts on this. But we're going to talk about ours.
Yep.
And I rock this game.
Yes.
That's all I got to say.
Two of the 3 times she has rocked this game.
Really rock this game.
When it mattered and it was live on the internet, I won.
He won by
I squeaked one out. So
it was because you had Jaggeroth.
yes.
That's the only reason that you...
No, I would have been one point ahead without my bag of gnome heads.
Jaggeroth is, I believe, our favorite champion that you start with.
So, Fall of the Mountain King, if you have played in the Hall of the Mountain King, also by Burnt Island Games, Fall of the Mountain King is the prequel to that. It happens a few generations before, I guess.
You're playing the history.
Yes. So, the gnomes are trying to take back the mountain. Do not let the little furry coats and pointy hats.
No, you think of like garden
they
gnomes.
hang out in gardens. No, these gnomes are murderers.
These are evil.
They're cold-blooded, red-eyed killers. So the gnomes are trying to take back the mountain. As Jared puts it in his solo review, you're not trying to win. You're just trying to lose the least or something. You're going to lose to the gnomes at the end.
Right,
because
that's the history of the game.
Yes, so your goal is not to defeat the gnomes. It's to hold them off as long as you can and gain the most honor in the process.
Yes.
So that is, you are scoring honor. And this game, we're not going to go into the full, like, how to play it. We did a full playthrough live a few nights ago, so you can go find a link to that we'll leave a link to that below too.
Right. And on the Kickstarter there is some how to plays and some great step-by-steps in the Kickstarter.
Yes. But this is, and I would put it at medium heavy as far as weight.
Yeah.
Until you learn it, and then it moves down to
That medium.
Medium with just a lot of stuff. So,
you know when you've played a game and then, like, for those who also review, you set it up to then do your review. I'm setting this up just now and I'm like, oh, I want to play it.
Yes.
I want to play it right now.
So there's so many different ways to score, to gain honor, to best other players. First, you have just controlling the caverns on the board. And I want to clarify, because it took me a couple of games to really get it through my head that this is not, you're not battling
Risk.
other players. Right. So Allison could be, she's green always. She can be in here. We can coexist in this cavern together. It's just that because I have 2 and she has 1, I control the cavern.
He dominates that cavern.
So you're not trying to drive other players out. You're just trying to dominate the caverns. You do want to kill the gnomes. You want to drive the gnomes out and keep them. But it's not like every time I've played, it's like this. Oh no, they're coming to kill me in this cavern. They're not. The other players are not attacking each other. You're all just trying to control different caverns of the mountain, because control lets you move freely. So you can freely move through any cavern that you control. So from here,
have a troll in.
I can move across. Well, not that you have a troll, that you actually, so you couldn't move through this cavern.
Oh,
because
that's
I
right,
have
because
more.
you control, yeah.
But I could move from here all the way through to over here because I control all these caverns, and that just counts as one move.
Right.
And there's so many different ways to do stuff. You have controlling caverns that you're going to get points for. The game is played over 3 waves. So in between 3 ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in between each age is a wave of gnomes that are going to come to attack. But in between each round or each age, you're going to score based on how many caverns you control and things like that. So
one of my favorite things about, there's so many things about this game that I really do enjoy. My favorite has got to be when you set up your ancestor places here. This right here.
Ancestry.
Yes. Sorry, your ancestry. These are your actions. And you have these cards and you draft them from each player. So we start with 4 cards. Everyone starts with 4. You pick out and add it to your grid here. And then you pass your hand to the next person. They do the same thing.
So it's a drafting sequence. So yeah, you're going to pick 3. You're going to add 3 each round.
Right.
And you can never make your ancestry larger than 6x6. So I have 6x4 at the largest space, so I couldn't go any farther this way.
Yeah, I'm 5x5 here right now. But these are your actions that you do. So you've got your cubes here, and these are your actions that you can do each round. So depending on the round is where you start your marker, and then also you can have these, what are they called? Supplies, I believe.
Yeah, the barrels give you extra
They get an
moves.
extra point. And then, but as many as you're away when you start from the beginning, you get these extra, and that supports a weak action. I'm not going to go too much into that. But what I really love about this is in setting this up, you can combine actions by where you put them. Okay, I didn't do it here as much, but let's say if I had, or I did this strong action here, I bolstered here. Now these two are connected, and I can do a really strong action by moving the gnome wheel 3 times because these two are connected because I used that one. Yeah. I really love that mine is going to be just my own. These are my actions. We all have different actions that we set up ourselves, and that makes it so replayable because I know I'm not going to remember how I set up last time. I'm not going to get the same cards.
You get different cards, and it's so there's only 4 actions you can do. The hand lets you influence champions, which there's different champions out, and there's more than
we all have favorites.
Yeah. So there's different champions out each round that do different things that give you different options to do.
Some of them are a player on the board, and some of them just allow you to do other things.
Yeah, but so you can put a cube on the hands to influence champions and gain votes with them. Mm-hmm. You have the blue shield, which is bolster, which just means adding more people to the board.
Just putting them where you're already at.
The green hammers let you move, and then the gnome with the creepy eyes lets you move the gnome wheel, which is just gonna let you take actions, but it's also going to, as it moves, trigger more gnomes coming on the board.
I actually didn't care for the gnome wheel our first round. Yeah, it was kind of finicky. I didn't really understand what was going on with it.
And we should say our first 2 games were on Tabletop Simulator.
That's true.
Which made a big difference. Yeah. It's just kind of hard to really grasp what's going on sometimes with Tabletop Simulator.
Having it on the table is a whole lot smoother. And I was able to really understand what was going on with the wheel. So basically, anytime you kill a gnome, this is the marker that moves it. It moves. You can also do your actions to allow it to move. This is a trigger. If you do that, then they and what is it?
Swarm.
No, it's not swarm. It's
there's lots of terminology in this game. It took
they multiply.
We still have trouble with gnomes versus trolls
because gnomes are supposed to be cute and these are evil, and trolls are supposed to be the ugly things. Anyways, so and then when you do this one, this triggers honor, so you're able to move up on the honor track.
So it's just one of those. There's so many. Again, you have 4 base actions, but the way you string them together, and basically during your turn you can choose to do 2 weak actions. A weak action is one that doesn't have a number on it. So I could move and I could bolster, or you can do a strong action where you string them together. And if you do a strong action, like say I do a strong move action and I string these 3 together, I can move 5. I can move them from anywhere. I just have to end up in the same place. So I couldn't just move to 5 different caverns, but I can.
He could move these 2, this one, and this one here.
Except I wouldn't move that one because I no longer control it.
Right.
But so it just, there's just so much strategy in this game, and it really is. It's just strategy heavy.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You can either work on controlling things, you can work on influencing champions, which are going to give you extra points, and the vote board. The vote board is. I'm going to move this to the middle because I know it's on the edge of the camera and it's kind of hard to see.
You can, just move it right there.
So the vote board, these are all of the different clans. They're all represented on the board. And as you do things, as you drive gnomes out, as you take champions from those clans.
You're basically getting favor with those areas, and they give you a vote.
Yeah, so you're going to gain a vote. And this over on the side, this is how many points you get at the end of the game for first, second, and third. Yeah, they're random, so you're not. Fire might be really strong and really valuable in this game, and the next game it might be the ice or the hammer clan. And there's a ton of points at the end of the game for these, and these again you get votes by taking champions, driving people out. There's multiple ways to get votes,
and killing
killing gnomes
in the
taking
air.
control from another player.
We also didn't even talk about the city halls. The city halls also, or what are they?
Great halls.
Great halls.
Great halls. Yeah.
I think town hall is what I was going to... Anyways, the great halls. The halls. Yes. They have points that score at the end of the game, too. So between the... after the first age and the second age, you score based on how you dominate or what you're in control of and that type of thing of the caverns. But then at the end of the third round, the third age, it is what's going on in the great halls.
Yes.
I did not understand that fully until my last game I played, and then I was like, we don't score, because I was like trying to like dominate areas, and then realized that it was really just what I was next to in the great halls.
And something else, and I know there's just so much going on. So these cards over here, these tell you where. So this is a fire. This is going to, these three cards tell you where the trolls are going to come, where the gnomes.
The gnomes are going to go
where
at
the
the end of the
gnomes are
age.
going to come out in between each round. So you have three different places they're going to come in, and round 1, 2 are going to come in. Round 2, there's going to be 3. Round 3, there's going to be 4.
So they would move over here to the fire.
Looking at
they would multiply and going in.
And looking at the gnome wheel also lets you peek at one of these cards, or not moving the gnome wheel lets you peek at one of these cards. So you get an advantage because you can either another way to score. If you lose to a gnome, or if a gnome kills you during a round, you don't get anything. But if you fall in the battle in that first or second or third wave in between rounds when the gnomes swarm, you get honor. So you kind of, and it's more strategy. You want to position yourself so that you're going to die in between rounds.
It's a little backwards. It's
but not die during the round. So, but even there, all of the scoring in the great halls and all of that takes place after the gnomes attack. So you may be set up great here, and then the gnomes attack and just wipe out everybody.
And so you have to regroup and hope you really invested in your bolstering and things like that.
It's really painful after the third round when you have such a great setup. And that was during our live stream. I had people around a couple of 12s. I had it all set up for scoring. I won anyway, but the gnomes came in and I lost all of my positions. Like, it was...
Almost. You had some good
around
ones.
that one.
Yeah.
But it just... And I love a game where you genuinely don't know who's going to win. And this is different. There's not hidden information. There is hidden information from the players where we don't know where the gnomes are going to come in. But we get to see everything. It's not one of those like, I have my ticket cards and Ticket to Ride where you don't really know how many points I have until I lay all those down and get like 300 points.
Like, I was ahead most of
Allison
all the games.
Allison was very far ahead during our live game. And I came back and just squeaked one out, just barely, but a win's a win. I finally got a win after all of the terrible losses during our other live games.
I like this game.
Yeah, so it's one of those that the final scoring it's just fun because everyone's counting up. It goes through, it's the scoring with as many ways as there are to score. It's very logical. It's the rule book goes through, you're going to score this, you're going to score the votes. So you count up the votes, first, second, third. You count it on the track. It's not a... There's no calculus.
Your little ancestor things over here. What are these called?
Elders.
The elders. Like when you lay them, you can't cover those up when you lay them down. There's a way to set these up. You can't cover those up, but that's 3 points right there. So there's a lot of ways to add up. And I will say, between rounds, the adding of the points can get kind of tedious between rounds, your first few rounds, when you're trying to remember what you go, don't miss this. And even like calculating who is dominating the caverns, you have to do that strategically and make sure it's easier when someone's counting those points and someone else is kind of doing the scores, that type of thing. It can take a little while to gather all those points and to do that.
But the rule book walks through it really well. There's a really good just section on in between rounds and all of that. And again, it's not, the scoring itself isn't confusing. There's no
no, it's not confusing. There's
multiply
just so
by
many ways
7, and if it's a Tuesday, then you get bonus points because of the position of the moon. Like, there's none of those where you have those games that just... It's just confused. This is very straightforward. For as complex of a game as it is, for as many elements as there are and as many ways to score, it's very straightforward. You count your votes, You tally up who controls the great halls. You have this. You might have some from your champions, but it all comes together, and it's all very just ABC. Here's how you score.
As long as you go by it that way, then there's not much confusion. It's when you're like, okay, I'm going to score this. Oh, we didn't score this. Oh, whoa, we need to score that. Like, it can't use, as long as you go by, he's very, like, by the book, and I'm just like, I'm going to do this over here. I think the game, even though this is a prototype, it plays really well with the components that are there. These are just meeples. They're going to be little trolls.
Little treeples.
And these, I believe the gnomes are actually going to be little characters. I'm not positive, but I believe I saw on the Kickstarter they're actually going to be little mini.
And I know if you back the Kickstarter, the champions will be minis where they're little, because when you claim a champion, you get this little token to represent it on the board.
Which works.
Yeah, but those are going to slide into the minis. So it's, again, this is just a prototype. There may be some discrepancies.
But even as a prototype, it plays really well for what it is. This board is double-sided. Right now we have the side that is between 1 to 3 players. It says 2 to 3, but this is the side that you play the solo version. The other side is, I believe, 4 to 5.
Yeah, and so it has more caverns, more entrances.
Yeah,
it's
in
this
just prototype, we've got 4 colors. I think we have pink and blue as well as this yellow.
Yeah, but the game is made to play up to 5.
Yeah.
And as far as playtime, it says 20 to 30 minutes a player.
Our last few times it's been longer than that.
Definitely don't see 20 minutes a player unless you are just like booking it through the rounds. But when we played on with the charity board game, or we played a live stream, the first game we played, we just played a demo with Burnt Island Games.
We just played one age.
Yeah, we played one age. That took about an hour and a half because we were learning. We were teaching as we go. The second game, we played a full game, and I think it took 3.5 hours.
But we also talked, and when we goof off when we play.
But despite that, and we got it, and we got the physical prototype. We played that. That probably took two and a half hours for the two of us and Jared. We played with Jared again, probably took about 2 hours. And then our live stream took about 2 hours, but I have never felt bored playing this game. It does not feel like it drags. It doesn't feel, and again, that's having conversation.
Even when
it's
other
talking.
People are doing their part. I didn't feel like I was bored.
No, and you're watching them to see what they're going to do,
and also making sure that you move your track down because you notoriously forgot to move his action.
I never took any extra turns. But yeah, and you're kind of planning based on what other people are going to do. If they're going to kind of, there's just. It moves. There's so many options that you really have to get to your turn. We talk a lot on our channel about like preparing for the next round and kind of thing. And this is kind of hard to do that because you really need to see what people are going to do and where people are going to go, how they're going to mess with your strategy as you go.
And some rounds it was like, okay, I'm taking a weak action. I'm going to take a weak action, but I'm also going to add to it. So I'm going to do this. Well, this makes me do this, and then I'm going to take another weak action and still add to it. So my round could be, or my turn could be a little bit longer, but then my next turn would be like, okay, I'm just going to bolster this one.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my turn. Like, as long as you kind of have an idea of what you might be doing, you also really need to pay attention to what your champions can do for you each round, because there's new ones each round, in each age. I keep saying round, each age, and they do different things for you. And depending on your strategy here and the champions that you already have, what's going on the board, you just kind of balance your own thing. You also need to look at, okay, I'm looking at the vote board and I have nothing in the Moss clan. Well, there's a Moss guy there. I want to get on the Moss clan. So I'm going to go ahead and do all my influence to him so that I can at least get 2 votes over there.
Yeah.
That type of thing. I think there's so much involved in this, but you don't get bored, but I don't feel like it's too much.
No, it's not. And that's something that I really appreciate about this is it's a heavier game that I know is family accessible. It's not too complicated for younger kids. And even Peyton hasn't played on his own, but he played on Allison's team and he was making decisions. Like he understood how it worked, kind of what you could do. He said,
he's like, I have no idea what the wheel does.
Didn't know
because we didn't go into what the wheel was doing.
But he understood how the ancestry worked and kind of how you were doing. So it's accessible. It is a great, if you want an afternoon, we don't want to just play for 20 minutes. If you want an afternoon family game, I think this is a great game for that.
It is.
Jared has played a few times. He's really enjoyed it. And we actually broke in with him while he was doing his solo review So we're going to jump over to that really quick so you can hear what Jared had to say. Okay, so I'm here with Jared, and Jared, you're in the middle of your solo review. That's why it's set up like this and not for the multiplayer mode. We will leave a link to that below, so be sure to go check it out. Jared has done a review all about the solo mode because he is the solo gamer of our family. But this video is about the multiplayer version. So Jared, what do you like about Fall of the Mountain King?
Really everything about it. I love the story of it, the gnomes, the artwork, the gnomes. Especially the gnomes.
And the artwork.
Yes, the artwork.
What about what was your favorite thing as you learned the game? First, how was it you're 11? How was it learning the game? How did you feel? And it's not a simple game. There's a lot of different elements to it, a lot of different ways to score. How did you feel? How was it learning this game for you?
Well, it was hard learning it, but after you get it, it just seems like, how did this take me so long to learn? And I'm 11, almost 12, and it says 14 and up. Peyton hasn't learned it yet, but I think when he learns it, he's going to be pretty good at it. He's good at strategy games. This is a big on strategy game.
Yes, it's lots of strategy in it. And again, and you have the vote board, you have battles, you have the gnome wheel, there's so many different ways to score in this. And I think that seems like the biggest issue, especially probably at younger ages, is grasping all of the different ways to score.
It's not exactly an issue, though. I like that about it.
Yeah, but do you, and wouldn't you agree, kind of understanding all of the different ways and how they work together? Because that's something I've struggled with too, is just, okay, I can fight people and I can get a little bit for that, but then I also need to earn votes. And so I think that's just, if I had to say not necessarily for you, but for younger players, I think the biggest hurdle would be not any individual aspect of it, but just putting everything together and coming up with a solid strategy. But that said, no single element is hard to understand. It's just there's a lot of them.
Yes, there's a lot of it, but each part has its own. It's not hard to understand each part, but it's hard to understand how they all fit together.
So what is your favorite part about the actual gameplay of this game?
The fighting of when you fight the gnomes, that's my favorite part of it because there's so much story in fighting them. Like, they could be too strong, or I might beat them easily. They might score me a bunch of honor, or they might not score me much. It's just, there's so much story and just strategy involved in that. Involved in what you're going to do to attack the gnomes, that it just makes it my favorite part of the game.
Cool. I like that part too. And I know there's some flavor text. Would you like to read that before your mom and I get back to our review of it?
Yes.
Okay. So there you go. We just have printed off rules because it's a prototype and the rules were updated.
This game tells the story of the legendary war that transpired many generations before the events in the Hall of the Mountain King. An unstoppable onslaught of gnomes has breached the gates, and they pour into our mountain kingdom. You are one of the heroes, rising up to lead and inspire the troll defenders as we fight for our survival. You must rally support from the clans, drive back the gnome invaders, and defend the sacred great halls as the situation gets ever worse. The fall of the Mountain King is inevitable, but the ferocity of your example will make you the leader we need to keep our hope alive that we someday may return home.
Very good. So, any final thoughts on it? Why should someone go check out this Kickstarter?
Because it's really, 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 really fun. Like, it is a really good game. The flavor text, the fighting, but it's not you're fighting other people. There is not fighting other people in it.
Just fighting gnomes.
Yep.
So.
Because you're all on the same team. You're just trying to be better than everyone else. You're on the same team, but you're trying to be better.
Cool. Well, thank you for your thoughts. Now we're going to get back to Allison and my review of Fall of the Mountain King.
So this game has been a hit with our family. I know we didn't go into the full rules of how to play. If you want to go dig deeper into that, we have a full playthrough on our channel. There's also on the Kickstarter some great other reviews and just how-tos on the Kickstarter.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is, again, Fall of the Mountain King from Burnt Island Games. It's the prequel to In the Hall of the Mountain King. This game has been just so much fun to play and so enjoyable to play. Like, I can't wait to get the full version and be able to just play it, enjoy it, see what they do from this amazing prototype to the full production Kickstarter version.
Yep.
So be sure to go check out the Kickstarter. We will leave links to that below, as well as Jared's solo review. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, find the bell, and hit that.
We also have some videos right over here that you can check out just from our channel, just what we have to say about board games. And until then, we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.